Hello everybody and welcome to episode 6 of Baker's Chatcast. Today I am joined by singer-songwriter Sam James Johnson, who talks about his journey in music and his influences and all to what he hopes to achieve. I hope you enjoy. Hello Sam, thank you for joining us today, and how's lockdown been for you so far?
Yeah, it's alright, man. It's I'm getting pretty sick of it now, though, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's gone on too long. But luckily, I'm one of those people. I don't really. I quite enjoy being at home, to be honest. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that hates being indoors. And I don't really get bored. You know what I mean? I always find something to do. Whether it's there's always a film you ain't watched or a series you never got around to watching, or do a bit of music, PlayStation, and all that. But yeah, man, 1,000,000%. I'm looking forward to getting out again, without a doubt.
Yeah, and just hopefully it'll be soon. But I have to agree with you. I'm not someone who massively misses being outdoors all the time. But yeah, just hopefully, because missing gigs and stuff. But hopefully we can get back to them soon.
Oh, big time, mate. Yeah, I need it. It's been far too long.
I'll start by mentioning your music. You've released a few songs on Spotify so far that go by the names of This Place, 9 to 5, and Something. Could you explain a little bit about the meanings behind these songs and what they're for, like what you got at when you were writing them?
Yeah, man. What do you want me to start with the first one?
Yeah. This Place I've got first, so speak about that one first if you want.
This Place, yeah, I wrote that one, probably about 5 years back, something like that now. And it's just one of them songs that's just I guess everyone has down days and that, you know what I mean? And everyone sort of needs someone to talk to every now and then. And sometimes, sometimes words don't help, people trying to tell you stuff and stuff like that. Sometimes it is music that helps you out the most more than anything. That's what I've found anyway when I've been in situations like that. So I guess I just wanted to write a song which could just give a bit of support to people, really, you know what I mean? And I guess the song's probably got more meaning in these times than it did when I released it a couple of years ago, you know what I mean? But it's just to show, just to tell people, you know what I mean? I guess the main meaning was there's a lyric in it which was which says you are in someone else's dream, and it's just I guess I was kind of trying to touch upon the fact that sometimes you can feel like you're not worth much and all that, but out there somewhere there's someone, you're their person, you're their vision of perfect, you know what I mean?
And did you find
someone else's mindset?
And did you find it sort of helped writing it down as a song and getting it all out on a piece of paper to make a piece of music with it?
Yeah, man, 1,000,000%. Yeah, I mean, when I wrote that one, obviously we all have good days and bad days, you know what I mean? And it's the way that I sort of deal with things, really, you know what I mean? If you're having a bit of a bad day, it's good to just, instead of overthinking things, it's good to just document it down on a bit of paper, you know what I mean? And then you actually try and make something out of it and actually have something to show for it at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And if that helps someone else as well in the meantime, then yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, and I've got to mention that I will put all of the links to your songs and your social medias down in the description after this. But secondly, we've got 9 to 5. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, mate, yeah, that's the one that people seem to like the most. It's I wrote that about probably around the same time, probably about 4 years ago, something like that. And it was just, I got in that situation where I found a job and all that, and I was going to work all the time, and I just got sick of it pretty quick. You know what I mean? I still do it, obviously, and that, because you got to do it. But yeah, I found myself pretty sick of it from the get go. And I just sort of noticed I just thought all this time I'm spending working, and I'm only getting 2 days of a weekend. What is all this about? You know what I mean? And then you think oh, it must just be me. And then you speak to other people in pubs and you speak to your mates and stuff like that, and then you find that they feel the exact same way as well, and they feel like they hate it just as much as me. And it was just well, if we're all in this situation and we all hate it so much, why do we all do it? There's a lyric in it that says there's got to be another way, and it's surely there's got to be another way to all this. So yeah, it's just this is my way of having a little vent.
I've got
to go to work.
I've got to say, I never really gave the title much thought. I just thought, oh, it's just a normal title. But now you've mentioned that, it's actually twigged with me that it's a standard day's working hours. So You've cleared that one up to me now, and
it's named after a Dolly Parton song as well.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Like that title come last actually. Like it didn't have a name for a long time, and I was playing when I first started playing it at like the open mic nights and stuff like that. It didn't even have a title. Just like, oh, here's a new song, and 9 to 5 just sort of sprung to me, and it stuck from there really.
Yeah, and your next one is Something. Could you do the same with this and tell us a little bit about that? Is it like the same, or has it got a bit of a different meaning behind it?
With that one, so that one's more of like a love song. So I guess that one I've sort of written about my missus. And that one, the meaning behind that one is just, I guess like universally, it's just about like two people in love and just saying, let's like forget about what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is saying. Let's just do our own thing and forget everyone else. You know what I mean? And it's just like it's just a nice little love song, that one.
And while we're on this topic about writing songs and your meanings behind them, some writers obviously aim for fictional things like imaginary stuff in the songs, but also a lot of writers go for real life encounters, like what they've seen and what they've experienced. What do you aim for when you're writing your songs?
For me, mainly it's about like my life experiences and the things that I've seen.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't think I've ever really written a song which has been fictional. I mean, it might be a thing that happens one day. Something might come to my head, and I might end up going like down that kind of route. But like everything that I've done so far, there's been stuff that's been like either stuff that's happened to me or stuff that I've seen, stuff that I've experienced. And I think that's just the way that I end up sort of documenting it. Really, you know what I mean?
And now I've never actually written a song, but I imagine that's like the sort of way to like have it easier, and I imagine it's easy to like write about things you've experienced firsthand and like try and come up with all these ideas of imaginary things. So
yeah, man, I think so. Yeah, I think that's just like it's just a good way to like document what you're sort of going through at that time. You know what I mean? And it's just like I guess it's almost like writing a bit of a diary. You know what I mean? But just having like melody behind it.
Yeah, totally. And on the subject of your music, I've seen your music videos on YouTube, and they're really well produced and look like they've been shot well. How do you make them?
Well, I'll go through like a little bit of a backstory. So a mate of mine put me in touch with a producer called Erin Ahmet, who I've been working with for the past sort of 2 years or so. And he's the one that's produced every song that I've released, and he also does the videos as well. And he's just like one of those people that's just talented at everything, you know what I mean? Everything he touches sort of turns to gold. And we just finished doing the recording of This Place. And we was having a bit of a chat, and afterwards he said, oh, what's your plan then for after this? I said, well, I want to try and get a video done. And he said, oh, well, I'm starting doing videos now. So he said, do you want to like give it a go? So we gave it a go. We done a This Place video, and it just like blew me away, just how good it looked and just how like professional it looked. And so yeah, it was just like, right, well, this is going to be your job forevermore then, if you'll have me. Because
I thought your videos were fantastically produced, and the quality as well. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, as I said, like the guy behind it, Erin, he's the man. You know what I mean? He's a genius. I'm very, very lucky to know him and to have worked with him. Yeah.
Then when you know a good producer like that, everything's okay.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, like when we first met him, a mate of mine put me in touch with him, and I arranged to like go to his place just to like have a chat, really, more than anything. You know what I mean? Because I just thought he could be like the most talented guy in the world, but if he's an idiot, then this ain't gonna work, is it? You know what I mean? So like, I ended up going with my brother. We went to his place just a bit of a chat, and just like I was only in there for about 10 minutes, just like a quick chat, just to like talk about what we planned to do and stuff like that. And he was it turns out he was a cool dude, you know what I mean? So like we ended up booking some dates in, and then when we worked together, it was just like, this guy's insane.
Yeah, but
he's a nice fella as well. Like not only like we've been working together, like he's ended up becoming like quite a good mate now as well, which is just it's great.
But as I say, I thought them videos were greatly produced.
Yeah, cheers, man.
The next thing I wanted to ask you was, how long have you been doing music for? And what age did you decide music was the game you wanted to be in? Like, have you had like a certain event or moment that you've seen that made you want to get into music?
I mean, I've always sort of been into music, really, like, but I didn't really start getting into it properly, like following bands and stuff like that till I was about 13.
Yeah.
But even after that, like, I weren't really playing music or anything like that. I mean, I had a guitar in the house, but didn't really, like, go near it, you know what I mean? At that point, I was just sort of more into, like, just going out and seeing my mates and stuff like that. But I was into, like, bands and stuff. It was only, like, about when I was about 18 when I actually, like, picked up the guitar and actually just started, like, doodling and stuff like that. Well, it might have even been a bit before, you know what I mean? It might have been about 16, something like that, to sort of start doodling and stuff like that. And me and a mate of mine, he was playing guitar as well, and then we sort of formed a bit of a band. It was only us two, and like neither of us could really sing at the time or anything like that, but we used to just play guitar and just used to like go around each other's houses and stuff like that and just do like Beatles covers and stuff. And then we ended up like we ended up doing that for about a year, and then we tried writing our own stuff, but it never went anywhere, and you know what I mean? It was dreadful, to be honest. But yeah, we was doing that, and then he ended up sort of going off to university, doing all the stuff that you do when you're at university and stuff like that. And then, but it's a thing that I just sort of carried on doing. Like, I carried on playing the guitar, I carried on writing as well. And the longer I was doing it, you know, like, the better my playing was getting, the better the songs were getting. And then I ended up writing a song when I was about 18 or something like that. And then I thought, oh, this sounds alright. So I recorded it on my phone, and then played it back on my phone. I thought, oh, that actually sounds alright. Like, I didn't think I could sing like that. Like, it actually sounded pretty good. And that was about it, really. Like, that's how it all sort of started off. Once I'd done that, I thought, oh, there might be something in this.
Because I can totally relate to when you said you've always liked music, but you never really started following bands till you were 13. Because I think,
yeah.
I think when you start to reach that age, you really do discover what music is for you, and what music you'll sort of be into for the rest of your life. Really, well, that's what I've found.
Yeah, man. Well, like before that, you sort of just listen to like what everyone else is listening to. You know what I mean? And it's sort of you think you like it,
yeah.
But then you hear something that you do like, that you do actually get into, and you think, oh, well, actually, I don't like that because I really like this. Do you know what I mean? Because
I have to admit, some of the stuff I liked when I was younger was rubbish. You just go for like what you heard in the charts. So what was the latest thing to come out, the X Factor or something? But I think when you reach that age, you really do discover what you want and what music you do like.
Yeah, man, I think so. Yeah, 1,000,000%.
And talking about music you like, the other day you sent me 5 songs that have a big influence on your music career. Could you elaborate a bit on why for each one? As we start with Oasis, Live Forever, but I've got to say it's one of the best tunes of all time. So what does this mean to you?
Sorry, mate, stomach looks weak. Live Forever, yeah. Well, that was it. That was the changing point for me. That when I was about 13, that was the song that sort of changed everything. Obviously, growing up in England,
yeah,
like especially throughout the late 90s and like early 2000s, stuff like that, obviously knew who Oasis were and had heard of Oasis and heard the music and stuff like that. I can't even remember how I sort of discovered Live Forever. I found it on YouTube. I don't know what I would have been searching for or how it would have come about, but I remember hearing it and everything changed from that moment. You know what I mean? It sort of just changed everything. It changed the way that I then wanted to dress, the way that I then looked at life, the way that I looked at music, everything. And then from there, and then obviously Oasis from there did become my favourite band. And then started buying all the albums and stuff like that. It was the first gig that I ever went to. So yeah, and from there, obviously from like an Oasis, it's like a sort of tree effect where like branches come out, because that's when you sort of think, oh, well, they like the Stone Roses. Oh, so I'm going to go and check out the Stone Roses. So you go and check them out, and you think, oh, wow, they're good. And then you find out that they listen to the Sex Pistols, and then you go, oh, well, check out the Sex Pistols. Then you go and buy that album. Oh, wow, that's amazing. And then you go the other way as well. You find out that Noel Gallagher likes Paul Weller, and then you get into the Jam, and you think, oh my God, there's Jam, right? Then you find out they were into the Beatles, and then before you know it, you've got this whole music taste. And there's all these bands that you like, and it's all kind of stemmed from this one thing that you've liked.
Because Oasis are a massive soundtrack in my life as well. They have been for quite a while now. And I can agree with you there, because when I started to first get into that music, Oasis were the first band I discovered. But like you say, from then you discover like the Stone Roses, and you discover the Smiths as well, the Charlatans, and then like you say, you have just all these great bands that you love.
Yeah, 1,000,000%, and that's how it started for me. And I guess it started from that tune. It started from Live Forever, and it is to this day my favourite song of all time, and I don't think any other song that's going to come out now will ever beat that, to be honest.
Arguably, though, some people might argue, your second choice, the Verve Bittersweet Symphony, is another one of the all-time Britpop greats. What does this song mean to you?
So for that song, I'd say that's probably the second best song of all time in my world. To be honest, it's up there with Live Forever. If you took Live Forever out of the equation, I'd say that Bittersweet is probably the best song of the 90s, hands down. For me, it was one of them songs that I actually remember as a kid. Sort of where I was sort of like hanging about in the streets, stuff like that, like when I was younger with my mates. Would have been about the early 2000s or like the very, very late 90s. I remember that song being played everywhere, and it just reminds me of being a little kid. But then you listen to it now, and you actually listen to the lyrics behind it, and it just brings it a whole different meaning. And it's just that lyrically, it's just one of the greatest songs of all time. And even like the video, is just so iconic. Like I guess I've tried to rip that video off many times, just me walking down the street, trying to look as cool as Ashcroft did in that video. But it's just out of this world. I love that tune.
It's just one of the all-time greats, and when you first hear the symphony orchestra, you just know it's gonna be.
It's gonna be a good night when you hear that.
Yeah, and it's on the England matches on ITV, and it's just.
Yeah, and I suppose when I listen to it now, when I hear that beginning of that, it just reminds me of just like a summer day in a pub garden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just one of the greatest. And the next one, you've got Jake Bugg, It's True.
Yeah, so with that one, this would have been around the time when I was sort of starting to write tunes for the first time and actually thinking there might be something in this. So, obviously, like with all the bands that I like and all the acts that I like Oasis and the Stone Roses and the Verve and stuff like that, I was late to the party with all of them. And out of nowhere, this guy come on the scene who was exactly my age, who dressed the same as me, who wasn't in a band as well, who was a solo artist, used to play an acoustic guitar and just sing. And it just sort of blew me away, really, the fact that this bloke had just sort of come along, and that was in the charts and stuff like that, but he was making sort of similar music to me, you know what I mean, or what I thought I was making anyway. And that was one of the first tunes that I heard of his, and I just couldn't stop playing it. And then his first album came not long after that, and it never made it on the album. I don't know why he never put it on the album. It's such a great tune. But even that first album is just, the thing I like about that album is that some of the songs on it do sound like demos. You've got some songs on there which are like really professionally recorded, and you've got other ones that sound a bit demo-ish. And so you can tell that they've all been done in different sessions. I just think it gives it a bit of edge. And there was a tune on that album called Fire, I think it was called. And he actually recorded that on his iPhone in his kitchen.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's exactly what I'm doing in a minute. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm just recording on an acoustic guitar in my bedroom on my phone. And one of his tunes that he's done that has now made it on an album. And so that's what made me think, there might be something in this. If he's doing that, I might be able to do that as well. It's a really important album to me, that first album. I think if that album never happened, maybe I wouldn't have even carried on pursuing the music, to be honest. It had that much of an impact on me, that album, at that time.
And like you say, you burst on the scene from nowhere, and I have to agree that first album is fantastic, and just it's got some great songs on it, and he was meant to be the next big thing when he came out. So
and he's I've sort of followed his career like ever since and that as well. You know what I mean? And he's like he's done some great albums since as well, and he's I've seen him like quite a few times as well, and I met him a few years back. Really nice fella. Yeah, like he's one of my favourite artists, but definitely a big influence on me sort of growing up.
And your next one is Missing Andy, Sing for the Deaf.
Yeah, have you heard them?
I'll have to admit, no, I haven't heard this one.
Nah, they're not really a very well-known band. So, like, I'll tell you how it sort of come about with this one. So, I sort of discovered them about 10 years ago. There used to be this was sort of sort of like when music videos were big on YouTube and stuff like that. It was still very much geared towards like TV. There was like more and more TV channels around that time. So there's only about like 4 music channels now, and most of them just play reality shows. But back then, no lie, there would be about 15, 20 music channels, all with different genres and stuff like that as well. So there was so much choice.
They were always good.
Yeah, and there were so many good ones, and they just sort of just disappeared throughout the years. But there was a channel years ago on TV called Lava TV, and they used to play like all the tunes that we liked and all that, obviously like the Oasis and Britpop stuff and all that. But they used to play a lot of unsigned music as well. So like if you was an unsigned artist and you did like music videos, sort of like pretty much what I'm doing at the minute, you could send it to them, and if they liked it, they'd play your tune on TV, which was like fantastic opportunity for like a new artist. So obviously I had that channel on, and then this band come on, who were called Missing Andy, and it was a song called Sing for the Deaf, and the tune was just out of this world, and they just looked so cool as well. And then I remember like writing it down on a bit of paper, like you had to wait to the end of the song to see the name pop up on the things, and I remember like writing it down on a bit of paper, going upstairs, checking out like the rest of their songs and stuff like that, and they only had a couple of songs out at that time, but then I ended up sort of seeing them live. And then they ended up becoming like one of my favourite bands around that time. And the good thing was, because they were quite an unknown band as well, you could kind of see your favourite band in a pub in Camden for like a fiver, which was great. And then like, they ended up, we ended up seeing them about like 10 times or something that year, every time they came to London. And I think for me, it was one of the first times where I always thought, you know, to be a successful musician, you had to be like headlining Wembley Stadium and doing all the big gigs and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with them, they weren't a huge band at all. They were playing like these pubs and stuff like that, but the fan base that used to come down had so many loyal fans that just wanted to see them and wanted them to sign stuff and that after the gigs and stuff, and it really just made me think, you know what I mean? Like, wow, like this is quality. Like it made it just feel like a bit more reachable to be the sort of musician that I wanted to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's a massive shame they got rid of something like that, because it's a great chance for unsigned artists to get the name on TV, which a lot of music fans will be listening to that channel, and it's just a shame they had to get rid of it, really. Yeah,
it's all just kind of gone online now, you know what I mean? And it's I guess it makes it, I suppose it's good in a way, but it makes it a bit harder for you to shine, really, if it's all online, you know what I mean? Because there's so much variety out there and so much choice, and it's quite hard to get ahead, you know what I mean? So having a little slot like that on a TV show, on a music channel, you know what I mean, would have been the one. But it's a shame that they got rid of it. But yeah, they brought out an album, their first album, which is called Generation Silence, and check it out, man. I think you'd really like it. It's a quality album.
I'll definitely get onto that one. And the final song is Stone Roses, but not one you'd really expect, Made of Stone.
Yeah, it was such a hard choice, that one, because it was just like, which one do you pick? For me, it's not really even that song in particular, it's just that album, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm guessing you've heard it numerous times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's as we were talking about earlier, do you know what I mean, finding out about the Stone Roses after, like, even Oasis liked them, I went on YouTube, checked out a few of their songs, like, and, like, the live performances and stuff like that, like, fell in love with them, as everyone does, I think, that listens to them. And this was like still sort of in the generation of like CDs and stuff like that. I know you still can get CDs, but like I remember I would have only been about 13 at the time or something like that, and I remember saying to my parents, "Can you get us this album for Christmas?" And it was the Stone Roses' first album. And when I got that, I just played it non-stop, and I've been playing it ever since. Really, to be honest, yeah.
Oh, it's a brilliant album. I've got it on vinyl. Have you seen the Heaton Park gig from 2012?
What is that? Is that out there? Is it?
It's not an album, but it's on YouTube. The whole gig. Oh my god!
I went to see him on that tour. I went to see him at Finsbury Park, which I think was the year after. And yeah, man, it was unbelievable. Like, we all went Camden like beforehand. Like around the pubs and stuff like that, and it was just like everywhere you looked was just Stone Roses fans and just hats, lots of hats everywhere, lemons.
What an experience that must have been as well, to see them live in person, such a massive, influential band. And you've seen Oasis as well, I recall you saying earlier. So you've been quite lucky with the bands you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, with the Stone Roses one, it was quite difficult because there was a lot of hype for me anyway, you know what I mean? Because when I first got into them, it was like the thought that they're never ever going to get back together.
Yeah.
So actually seeing them, it was hard to sort of like, for them to beat that expectation, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a good gig. I'm glad that I did get to see them because they didn't really last that long after that gig. So yeah, I'm pleased that I did get to see them. But saying that though, I've seen some fantastic Stone Roses tribute bands, you know what I mean? I've had just as much good a time than seeing the real thing, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Because I think it's the difference between Ian Brown and Squire that keep them apart these days. But I'm hoping they'll do another reunion at some point and we all get the chance to see them again.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think they just wanted to just make the money off the album, the first album that they all lost, you know what I mean? They lost a lot of money when they did that album. And I think, to be honest, I might be wrong, but it probably was just a big payday, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, you can't blame them. You've got a band like that, you're going to do it. Everyone's a winner, you know what I mean? The fans are happy. People like us, you know what I mean, didn't get to see them the first time around because we were too young. You know, and I think that music needed that at that time as well, you know what I mean? It was all a bit rubbish at that time. And so I think they needed to come back really, you know what I mean? And it was good to see them and just have like, I mean, even like, I remember like the first gig they did at Heaton Park. I mean, I never went to it. And I was in London, but just like the hype just on like magazine covers and stuff like that, like you could feel like it was a big thing, you know what I mean? Like you knew they were back.
And 75,000 people as well.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Unbelievable. And you've also got the Spike Island concert, which is a massive one.
Yeah. I've actually met someone that was at that gig who said, yeah, it was unbelievable. And there was actually going to be an event this year. No, not this year, last year, because it was the 30th year of Spike Island. And I think there was going to be a big event in Spike Island last year where they was going to have a tribute band play the same gig.
Oh, yeah.
Which would have been out of this world, and it would have been like, obviously it never happened, you know what I mean, because like pandemic and that got in the way, but yeah, I think we was going to try and plan on going to that, yeah, well, I mean, it would have been like the closest thing, 30 years seeing a tribute band in the same spot. It would have been a good night.
But they're just an all-round fantastic band, and I mean, even one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, there's some great tunes on Second Coming as well, but obviously it doesn't like go nowhere near the first album. But I mean, you know, if that's their only like musical gift to the world as a band, you can live with that, I guess.
And it certainly paid off.
Yeah, you can live with that.
The amount of bands that wanted to be like that as well, it's just unbelievable.
I mean, it doesn't even sound like a debut album, it sounds like a compilation album, doesn't it? It sounds like a greatest hits. It's just every tune.
Best of, yeah.
And it just sounds better when you play it in full as well. Every tune just complements each other onto the next one, you know what I mean? It's just... So yeah, anyone that hasn't heard that, go and listen to it now. Because you're missing out.
Definitely. But back to your music now. Do you write your own riffs and melodies when you're producing your songs, or...?
Yeah, well, all my songs, they kind of start off the same, really. So I write on an acoustic guitar, I write all the lyrics and write all the chords and stuff like that, and then I take it to my producer. Sometimes he can add little bits and stuff like that as well, and I like that process as well, you know what I mean? I like working with other people, because sometimes they can bring something to it that you never even thought of.
Yeah.
And take it in another direction where you thought, I wasn't really planning on that, but I quite like it, and then see where you can take it from there. So yeah, most of the time it is, yeah. Most of the time but yeah, I like working with other people, and if they've got input, I love to have other people's input into it as well, just to see if like they might be able to take it somewhere which I can't, you know what I mean?
On this topic, have you been writing any music throughout lockdown and plan to release any when it's over, or even play any shows anywhere?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, last year, I was one of the people that got furloughed. And so I had all this sort of time off, and, you know, I probably shouldn't say it, but it is a songwriter's dream to be on furlough. But the thing is, I do kind of go through phases where I have a bit of writer's block, and unfortunately I had a bad case of it when I was on the furlough last year. So I was like, I can't get no songs out, I can't seem to get no music sorted out. And then As soon as I went back to work, all these songs started happening again. It was just like, sod's law. But yeah, man, like definitely, like I'm actually working on an album at the minute.
Wow.
Like my first album, yeah. So that's in the making at the moment. And yeah, I just want to go out and do some gigs and some open mics and that as soon as possible, really. Like I just missed like performing. I've done like a few of like the Instagram live gigs and the Facebook live gigs and stuff like that, but they don't compare, you know what I mean, to the real thing. It's good to be playing and stuff like that, but they don't beat. A gig for me is a night out, you know what I mean? Whether you're sort of, I know like you're a big football fan, aren't you? You know what I mean? And it's sort of just like, it's like watching football on TV. I don't beat the experience of like getting up in the morning, going to the pub afterwards, being with your mates and stuff like that. And it's the same thing with a gig, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's the night out, it's the meeting up beforehand, the pre-drinks, going to the gig, playing the gig, going out afterwards, out all night and stuff like that. And that's a gig for me. And obviously you can't get that when you're in your bedroom on your own playing tunes, you know what I mean?
I totally agree, because I can relate football wise too, as well as a concert way, but football as well. When you go, if your team gets the 3 points, that's a bonus. But even just going, having the day out, having a laugh is just brilliant. And that's what I realised I took for granted during the lockdown, because my team, Middlesbrough, weren't playing very well, and some of the games that season before we went into lockdown, I was like, oh my God, I can't be bothered going tonight. Can I just leave it? But once we went into lockdown, I just thought, I miss the day out. I just want to be back in. I just can't wait to be doing all that stuff again now.
Same here as well. Yeah, well, I mean, I've sworn that when we do get back to normal, I'm never having a night in again.
Yeah,
because I'm going out, come rain or shine, mate.
It's just the socialising and having a laugh with people as well. That.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to music and stuff like that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? It is a night out. You know what I mean? A gig is a night out. Like when you've ever been to a gig, it's just gone straight home. You know what I mean?
I know. And when are you gonna get all? You're never gonna get the same reaction from a crowd when you're watching from home, because it's only you. But you want to be in with other people enjoying it. You want to hear 50,000 voices.
For me, like when I play live, I play acoustically anyway. You know what I mean? So the actual performance side of it is the exact same. You know what I mean? But it's it's the night when you finish, you just sort of press stop recording, and then you just sort of put your guitar away, and you have a cup of tea. You know what I mean? And it's not like, where are we off to next? You know what I mean? It's very different. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out and just doing some bits. Even like small gigs like open mics and stuff like that. I love doing the open mic scene as well. You know what I mean? And just like the little gigs around town and stuff like that. And yeah, I want to start like sort of venturing out as well and doing some like gigs all over the place when all this. I want to proper get into it. I mean, that was my plan before this like thing all kicked off. You know what I mean? Like I brought out a couple of tunes year before last, and that was it. I wanted to sort of concentrate on the live thing, and then obviously that went out the window. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it?
Are you allowed to tell us when you might be bringing this album out, or when you plan to release it? Well, it's the same thing, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's at the minute it sort of just depends on like what the world's going to be like in a few months' time. You know what I mean? But like it's about halfway done at the minute. And so yeah, I want to get in the studio in the next couple of months and sort of do the rest of the songs and stuff like that. And I'm fingers crossed, I'd like to get it out by the summer, but you don't know what state the world's going to be at that point. So it might have to be back till next year or later on in the year. But there's no rush, you know what I mean? It's sort of just like it'll be finished when it's finished, and when it's done, when it's ready to go out, it'll go out. You know what I mean? I don't want to rush into it. I don't want to like it to be second best. You know what I mean? So I want it to. It'll be ready when it's ready. Hopefully this year, but if not, then next year definitely.
Anyways, it'll be brilliant when we can hear it, and you're always welcome back on here to come and promote it if you want.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Finally, Sam, I'd like to thank you for giving us your time tonight and doing this with us. My last question is, I always ask a similar type of question. Where are you hoping to see your music career in 2 or 3 years' time?
It would just be nice for it to just get a bit bigger than what it is the previous year, you know what I mean? It'd be nice to be in a situation in a couple of years' time where I've sort of got music out, people are listening to it, like more people are listening to it. I'm sort of playing maybe up and down the country, and people are actually buying tickets and coming to the gigs and stuff like that, and just have a bit of a following, really, you know what I mean? And just sort of create a bit of noise, really. That's about it. So yeah, hopefully like bigger the better, but you know, baby steps, you know what I mean? You take one day at a time.
Yeah, brilliant. A massive thank you to Sam for doing this tonight and giving us his time. I'll leave a link to his socials and his Spotify so you can go check him out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and share. I'll see you next week.